Bravo Squad, your mission. Head to coordinates. Secure container. Expect resistance. Enclave Command, out.
Objective spotted. Damn mutants.
Let's take them out, boys!
Hello and welcome back to another battle report. We've got Enclave Force facing off against some Super Mutants. The Enclave are going to start in the bottom corner. Super Mutants are going to start around the container in the middle of the board. The match is going to be played over 5 rounds. The Enclave have to reach the container in the middle of the board and wipe out the mutants, and the mutants just have to stop the Enclave from achieving their goal. So let's get started with round 1. So because they're outnumbered, we're going to start with the Enclave. First of the 2 soldiers is going to take a move. And then he's going to take a shot at long distance into the first of the skirmishers there. That's a hit. He manages to block one, so he takes 1 damage. We're going to have the Hound next for the Super Mutants. He's going to move, and then he's going to charge into that soldier. The Warrant Officer is just going to take a couple of moves up the board. First of our Super Mutants is going to take a couple of shots at long distance into the Warrant Officer. That first shot's a miss. Second shot's a hit with an armor break. And the Warrant Officer blocks the damage. Our second Enclave soldier is going to move up the board. And then take a long distance shot up to that Super Mutant. And that's a miss. The second of our Super Mutants is going to do a long distance shot into the Warrant Officer as well. That is a crit. The Warrant Officer uses a strong armour to block one of the attacks and takes 1 damage. The Hellfire Trooper is going to take 2 moves up the board. That Skirmisher is going to take a move down the board. And then they're going to charge into the Hellfire Trooper. Our other skirmishers just going to take 2 moves down the board. Our Brute's going to take a move. And then he's going to charge into the Hellfire Trooper. The Overlord's going to take 2 shots at long distance into the soldier. That's a hit, but all caps mean he's on fire, and that's an extra damage. He takes 1 damage with the power armor kicking in. His second shot. That's also hit. Single bottle means he ignores 1 armor, and he's got an armor break as well. And he takes all the damage on that. And his power armor is now also broken. So that's the end of round 1. Let's move on to round 2 and have a quick look at the event card. We have Snap Card. There's actually no markers on the table, so that's not going to have any effect. So we're going to kick off with the Warrant Officer again. They're going to take 2 shots into the Skirmisher. And that is a hit with an armor break. So the Skirmisher takes the damage. Second shot. That's a crit with an extra damage. He manages to block 1, takes 2. That Skirmisher is going to charge into the Warrant Officer, and they're going to attempt to hit them. Extra dice for the charge, and it makes no difference because they missed. Up next we've got the soldier that got charged by the Hound. He's going to use his shock baton for a couple of attacks. That is a hit, 2 damage, and an armor break. He takes the 2 damage. For his second hit, that's a hit for an additional damage. Hound doesn't block any of it, takes the 3 damage, he's only got 5 health, so the Hound's down for the count. Our Brute's up next with the Super Mutants. He's going to hit the Hellfire Armor Trooper. He's going to get a couple of extra dice here, an extra green for the charge and a black for outnumbering. And despite all those dice, it's a miss. Over to his second attack. And that's also hit, crit actually, for an additional damage with the yellow dice. Manages to block 1, takes 2 damage. Hellfire Trooper up next. He's using his heavy incinerator into the Brute. That is a hit. That's 4 damage, doesn't block any of it, takes the 4. Skirmisher's also going to have to roll because he's within the area of effect. Blocks 1 and takes 3. For his second attack. That's also a hit for also an additional damage. He doesn't block any of it, takes the full 4 damage. So that's the brute out. Once again we'll check if the skirmisher takes any damage. He blocks 1, he also takes another 3. The super mutant there, not happy about being set on fire, he's going to try hitting the Hellfire Trooper. And that is no damage. And a second shot. That's a big old swing and a miss. So we're over to the last of our Enclave Force. Our second soldier is going to take 2 long distance shots into the Overlord. There's a hit with an additional damage. He manages to block 1 with his strong armour, takes 2. His second roll, that's a crit with also an additional damage. And he takes it. The Overlord, not really caring about his friendly models, is going to take 2 shots into the Hellfire Trooper. That first one's a miss, which is good because that would have been 4 damage altogether. And the second one's also a miss. And the rest of our mutants finish off the round. So we're over to the first of our 2 super mutants. He's going to take a long distance shot into the soldier at the bottom. And that's a miss. That second one is also a miss. Let's see if his friend there can do any better. He's going to try shooting into the other of the 2 soldiers. That first one's a miss with a quick action. That second one's also a miss, but he's going to use his quick action to take a move up the board. So we'll need to end the round by seeing who's still on fire. The Super Mutants out of luck. And our Enclave Trooper manages to douse the flames. So round 3, time to have a look at the event card for this round. We've got Boom! Not much to say about that. So we're going to kick off once again with the Warrant Officer. That is a hit. Armor break. He's only got 1 armor, so he's down for the count. So they're going to try taking a shot into the second of the Super Mutants. That is a crit for a total of 4 damage. And that Super Mutant takes all 4 damage. Not happy with just getting shot in the face with a plasma pistol, that mutant's going to charge into the Warrant Officer and try attempting to hit them with their bloodied board. That's a crit with an extra damage. And the Warrant Officer blocks all the damage. First of our 2 soldiers is going to try 2 long distance shots up into the Super Mutant at the top. That's a hit. His armor manages to block one of the damage and takes one of them. For a second shot. That is a hit for 3 damage, and that mutant takes all 3 damage. He's going to shoot back into the soldier that just attacked him. So the first shot's a hit. He takes 1 damage, blocks the other one with his armor. And for his second shot, that's a crit. And he blocks the damage. So the second of our 2 Enclave soldiers, he's going to attempt a couple of shots into Overlord. There's a hit for an additional 2 damage. Overlord blocks 2 and takes 2. His second shot is also hit with additional damage. Overlord can't block it all, so takes all the damage. So being a bit upset that he's just been shot at, he's going to shoot back at the Enclave soldier that just shot at him. That's a hit for, let's see, 1 damage goes straight through. So manages to block the other damage and takes the 1. For a second shot. That's also a hit. Double bottles mean he sets him on fire once again. But apart from being a little bit scorched around the edges, he blocks that 2 damage. We've got our Hellfire Trooper up next for the Enclave. He's going to do 2 shots into the Skirmisher. That's a hit with an armor break. He's only got the 1 armor, so that's going to take away the remainder of the Skirmisher's health. So he's down for the count. And for his second move, the Enclave Hellfire Trooper is just going to move up the board. So the Enclave Troopers manages to douse the flame once again. Let's see if he gets set on fire again over in round 4. So our event card for this round is Dust Storm, so we better watch with long distance shots, and they're going to have to test luck. So Overlord's going to kick off this round. He's going to do 2 shots in the Hellfire Trooper. That is a hit with an armor break. He's on fire. He manages to block most of the damage, takes the 1 with the armor break. For his next shot, that's a miss. So the Hellfire Trooper, being quite upset that he's meant to deal with flame, and he's just been set on fire, is going to shoot back into the Overlord. That is a hit. Let's see if the Overlord can block any of the damage. He blocks none of the damage, so that's another Super Mutant down for the count. And for his second move, he's going to move into contact with the shipping container. That mutant's going to take a couple of bonks on the head of the Enclave officer. That first one's a miss. And for the second swing, that's also a great big swing and a miss. So our warrant officer is going to attempt to do the same back into that mutant. Well, let's see if they can do any better. Despite all the extra dice, that's a miss. And for their second attack, that is also a miss. So that pair just seem to be flailing wildly at each other. So the remaining mutant at the top of the board, he's going to take 2 shots into the Hellfire Trooper. I think he can actually see most of them there, so I'm not going to do any discounts for blocking terrain. That first one's a miss. And for their second shot. That is a hit. And he blocks all the damage. So our soldier, seeing the wheel flailing in the middle of the board, he's going to charge in and see if he can do what the warrant officer couldn't do. Yeah, that's a massive 5 damage that he has done with the green for the charge and the black for outnumbering. Super Mutant can't cope with that. He's only got 2 armour, so I'm not even going to roll the dice there. I'm just going to say he's down for the count. And our last remaining Enclave Trooper, he's going to take 1 move up the board. And he's going to take a shot up the board into the last remaining Super Mutant. And his shot goes wild. So, 5th and final round. Let's see if they can take out this one lonely Super Mutant. But first, let's see if the Hellfire Trooper is still on fire. Yes, he's very much still on fire. But I mean, would you want to see that coming charging up the board at you? So, 5th and final round. Our event card. Heavy Rain. Good for the Enclave, not so good for the Super Mutant that's left. He's going to try taking 2 shots into the Hellfire Trooper. That first one's a miss. And the second shot. That's also a miss. We're just going to go along the Enclave. They're all going to take pot shots into that poor lonely Super Mutant left at the top of the board. So we're going to start with the soldier there, long distance. That is a hit. He doesn't block any of it, so he's down for the count. So that's an Enclave victory. All 4 of that squad go through to the final battle.
We did it, boys! What do you think's in there?
Bravo Squad. Rendezvous with Epsilon. New target, the Last Stop Motel. Command out.
So thank you all very much for watching my first battle report in 2026. Hopefully lots more to come. I'm going to be doing some extended battle reports hopefully. And let's see what else comes this year. We've got a big battle coming up at the Last Stop Hotel, but that's not going to be for a little while. Still lots more to come before that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.